First story. Reflecting on my experience. Today is the day that any hope of reconciling died. So, it's time to tell my 38M story. My STBXW. I literally just realized what this abbreviation meant as I realized what I would finally have to type this term. And I have been together for between 8 and 9 years. When we met, we both were pretty broke, and she was in a long-term relationship with another man. I have always been, and continue to be, exceedingly respectful of that boundary, and to this day can't really find myself interested in a woman who is involved. Even then, while she was certainly attractive, I stayed away. The time inevitably came where she and her partner broke up. It was abusive, I was told. He was terrible, I had heard. Maybe it was true. I think, in retrospect, it was easy to believe. I decided to give her space, time to recover. Yes, I was interested in her, and I didn't want to miss my shot, but I wasn't interested in being a rebound. I wanted something real. I don't really do casual. 2 weeks later, she called me to have a drink at a local bar, and that night we slept together. So much for my grand plan, eh? It was a whirlwind after that. She was intense, fun, wild, smart, bubbly, sharp, all the things and more. Within a matter of months we had moved in together. Anyway, eventually, she started to have an affair with someone at her place of work, and carried it on under my nose, unknown to me. While gaslighting me about how everything was fine, that she loved me, etc., etc. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. Finally, after about 2 or 3 months, I discovered the text messages, called her, and told her to get her things out of my home. By the end of that summer, we had reconciled. Looking back, I see the red flags. She didn't want to leave the man she had cheated on me with until she had guarantees that I saw a future for us. I shouldn't have bent. Was it desperation? Love? Low self-esteem? Empathy? After all, I understand not wanting to be alone. I understand wanting a future. It's easy, it seems, to talk yourself into believing all kinds of things. The next several years were, I thought, good. We still had our struggles, but we took them out, worked on them. Again, so I thought. 3 years later, we were married and bought our first home together. That was close to 3 years ago today. 1 month ago, she cheated on me again, became blackout drunk, and slept with a man that she knew, and, in fact, that I knew. I found her walking home at 6 a.m. I had been out all night, trying to find her, worried she had been hurt, kidnapped, raped, killed. I had refused to let myself believe what was obvious because, well, after the first time, I had worked hard to believe in her, to have faith in her. In retrospect, the key is that I worked hard. She did nothing to change or grow after that. Something I realized after this lapse. In retrospect, I realized that she is probably an alcoholic. It would start small, a few fun nights, drinks, etc. She would build up her thirst. Soon there were beer cans on the nightstand every morning. Finally, it would hit a crescendo. She would drink all day. In some cases from as early as 8 a.m. to 10 or 11 at night. She would go manic, then deeply depressed, then find a knife in self-harm across her arms, inevitably seeing me patching her up, putting her to bed, and holding her until she was asleep. She would enter a fugue state after that, lasting for days, in which she was depressed. I would do all I could to cheer her up, be there for her, let her know that she didn't need to feel guilty or shamed. I never told anyone about what was happening, as she was afraid of being exposed as broken. I realize now that I was enabling a cycle of mental illness. I regret that. I've learned the difference between support and validation, but I've learned it too late. For the first week and a half after the one-night stand, she was deeply remorseful. She talked about my right to my anger, how she wanted to listen and wait for me to forgive her, how she wanted to reconcile, how she wanted to get sober. I had told her I thought she was an alcoholic. Her therapist of several months agreed. Eventually, I said yes to marriage counseling. A day later she left to cat sit for a friend for the weekend in order to give me space. When she came back at the end of that weekend, she asked for a separation. She had found her anger, the remorse, the desire to reconcile, had begun to die inside her. She dropped her therapist and found a new one who didn't think she was an alcoholic. Still, she said she wanted to try. We scheduled marriage counseling. We had several long, difficult conversations, in which I explained what I was feeling, what I needed, what I demanded. Throughout, she only grew angrier, more resentful. I began to grow despondent, unable to think, unable to eat. I was torn. I knew what I thought it should look like when someone who has had an affair wants to reconcile. They need to protect you, protect the relationship. Work tirelessly to rebuild faith and trust, perhaps for years. Instead, she would say she was going to go out for drinks with friends, but that she wouldn't go if I didn't want her to, and later, complain to her friends about how controlling I was being, how insecure I was, how my ego needed stroking. I learned this by asking for access to her phone, and seeing in her text messages how brutally she mocked and maligned me. I also learned from those text messages that on that first weekend away, she had contacted the AP. According to her, for clarity, she had been blackout drunk, and she wanted to know what happened that night. I chose to believe her. I could hardly do anything but, I had trained myself for years to have faith in and trust her, the only way back from the first affair. It was a reflex, one that was killing me. She would say she was here. She was doing the work, but nothing she did was good enough for me. I could sense the lack of commitment, indeed I could see it, but my mind wanted to believe the words more than the reality, and I tried to fight my own insecurities and intuitions. It began to tear me apart. I couldn't square how I felt with what I wanted to believe. I began to think about ending my pain. In our first session in marriage counseling, she affirmed her desire to reconcile. The next day, as she was preparing to go out for drinks with friends, again, without informing me, she found me in our bed, weeping. Again, the dance of, "Do you not want me to go? I know you'll feel controlling if you do." I asked her to stay. She asked me to talk to her. She held me, and for the first time in a month, I felt like I was talking to my wife. I told her everything I was thinking and feeling. We had been like that for a long time. Open, or so I thought. I told her I was having dark thoughts. Later, her text messages would complain about how I had threatened to kill myself, that it was her worst nightmare to deal with. The cruelty of it all. The next day, I had work. She went out. She drank. She was home at 4 a.m., incoherently drunk. I picked her up and carried her to bed, disrobed her, tucked her in. I checked her phone. This time the DMs. There it was, the plans made with the AP, the contempt of me. It had been going on, likely, since that first weekend away. I left, spent the next day working, talked to friends, made plans for divorce. The next day I went home and held her for an hour, one last hour to pretend I still had my wife, the woman I loved, and not the monster she had grown into. Then I told her what I knew, and that I wanted a divorce. I wasn't seeking anything but half, a fair, equitable, even distribution. She agreed. I packed what I could and left. In all of her communications, she is a different person. With me, she would be loving, empathetic, a listener, a caregiver, a partner. To her friends, who know nothing of her true struggles with alcohol and self-harm, she is a victim of my ego. To her family, she's just angry with me, and they know nothing of her alcoholism, the self-harm, or the affairs. To the AP, she's a fun girl who is strong. I've started to feel sorry for the dope. She's already lying to him. I don't know where she is anymore, if I ever did. The next day, I tried again. I laid out what I needed. First, a brutal end to her relationship with the AP and the social circle that had enabled and encouraged the affair. Second, to tell her parents what was really finally happening in her life. They are very close to her, supportive and loving. It breaks my heart to know how shut out of her life they are. Unknown to them. Third, to enter into intense psychiatric care. That night, she considered it. Truly considered it. The next day, she decided I had been too mean, too angry in that final appeal. She said she didn't want to try and fix things. This was, throughout this relationship, effectively my fourth attempt at reconciliation. I told her that was fine. I shook her hand. We agreed to sell the house and split the equity, and we agreed on a date to meet to work through the particulars. I stepped out into the rain and felt finally free. I didn't think that I would. I thought I would feel the same heart-wrenching pain that I had felt for over a month. Her drinking had driven us apart. She had grown angry and resentful of me, and instead of communicating and working with me, she had chosen to construct a social life in which I was the villain of her story. I knew that things were going to be hard, but I also knew that the truth was that nothing would be as hard as the relationship I was now leaving. So what have I learned? First, protecting your partner from who they are doesn't help them. It enables them. Support is not validation. Support can often look like challenging people to be better versions of themselves. Validation is encouraging them to believe the lies they tell themselves. My wife is gone. The person she is now isn't who she was. She's chosen to be a different person now. It almost seems like a mental break of some kind. Maybe it's fear of actually confronting who she is, her reliance on alcohol. I'm not sure. I don't think I can be bothered to speculate anymore. I need to be clear about my wants, my needs, my expectations. I need clear and strong boundaries. I need self-respect. I look back at what I bore, and I know that I told myself I was doing it because I believed in her and believed in marriage, and the idea of what it meant. I had never wanted to get married, as I had seen too more divorce and heartache in my childhood, but I changed my mind for her. Well, I need to trust my intuition. It has been right in every instance. It's my desire to believe in someone, something, that goes against that intuition that has consistently steered me wrong. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The signs were there early on. I chose to ignore them. That's my responsibility. Update. A hard day today. About 2 weeks since I asked for divorce. Just a little over that since I discovered she was carrying on an affair while we were trying to work on our issues from her initial infidelity. I tried so many times to reconcile. Each time, she would hem and haw, but eventually, fail me. Fail us. Excuses. Blame shifting. Cowardice and lies. I read, and am rereading, Leave a Cheater Gain a Life, for the anger it gives me that allows me to survive. But sometimes, in the quiet, that isn't enough. Helped our roommate move out of the house yesterday. The house we bought 2.5 years ago, a month after we were married. The house I slaved over to turn into a home for her, for us. Said goodbye to my dogs. Now I'm back in the small bedroom in the back of a friend's apartment. Living there because living in that house, with her, would be too much. Not for her though, apparently. I know, based on text messages I saw, that now she finally feels safe enough to have her AP over and fuck him in our bed. What was our bed? This past week she texted me every morning. Kind words. Reminiscing. I asked again for reconciliation on Monday. Not sure, I'm insane. I know I'm insane. Yesterday I got on Tinder. It was therapeutic. It helped me imagine a future where I didn't die in a ditch. But this morning, as I was having a wonderful back and forth with an intelligent woman, I realized I didn't feel anything. I just wanted my wife. I wanted what we had, what we has built. All gone. All gone. Everything is gone. I don't know that I can do this. Update. 1 month later. Struggling with finances and tea leaves. You can read my posts to get my whole story, but essentially, my wife got blackout drunk and cheated on me in a ONS. She begged for reconciliation and I agreed. Secretly, she then started an affair with the man she slept with as we tried to work on our marriage. What followed was a month of gaslighting that drove me to the edge of suicide. I discovered the affair and summoned the strength to ask for divorce, which was just about 1 month ago. I've been staying with a friend since, while she stays at our home. Initially, we had agreed to split the house evenly, to do things fairly, without lawyers. To be amicable. I knew, intellectually, that she was good at showing me she was kind and caring. But that from her text messages to others she had been working on villainizing me for weeks. So what could I trust? The face she showed me or the one she showed others? My problem, I guess, is I am a trusting individual, and I still love her. So I just believed her, as I have always chosen to do. In the course of our separation, though, she has slowly moved away from that honest, fair approach to things. When the realtor came by to tell us what he could list the house for, she grew angry that it was so much she wouldn't be able to buy me out of the house. She then said she didn't want to work things out. So much anger in her, these days. From there, days later, she took a lower number the realtor offered to get bidding started and used that as the appraisal. Offer me a few $1,000s to walk away and let her, in her words, keep the house. When I tried to get an official appraisal, she suggested also getting my pension appraised since she would be due a piece of that. I refused. She said we wouldn't sell the house then, and I hired a lawyer. All very standard, I guess. The slow descent from lovers and partners to strangers and enemies. I don't want it. I've fought against it at every step, but here we are. The tea leaves. Recently, her father suddenly had to go into the hospital for a heart obstruction. It turned out it was several blockages. He's having open heart surgery soon. I loved her family, loved this man. He was the first man who called me son and actually wanted me as his son. I've been NC with them as I'm trying to limit my connections to protect myself, and I also think she has probably spun them a tale of my inadequacy as a partner that would leave me shamed and either have me slink away or tell the truth, further antagonizing her. So, these calls, she sounds sad in them. We talk, we connect, the things only she and I know 9 years. There's nothing like that. It makes me think, if I offered my hand again, offered her, would she accept? Could she allow herself to? This whole time she has still been with AP. I know I'm a fool, a codependent idiot. I can't stop my brain from torturing myself in this way. I just want out of this nightmare. Second story. D-Day was yesterday. What do? I'm new to this group. I have nobody in my life to talk to. My wife would normally be that person, so I searched Reddit and found you all. I found out yesterday that my wife cheated. We've been married 6 years and have a 3-year daughter. We've never had any issues before, and this came completely out of the blue. She met a new coworker, they became friends, and she said they kissed 2 weeks ago. They kissed several times since, and Monday she went to his place before work and they had sex. She told me yesterday, said that she regretted it and wanted to tell me immediately. She doesn't feel anything for him. She wants to be with me and doesn't know why she did it. Said she's been depressed lately. I don't know what to do. I'm just numb, and when I'm not numb I feel like vomiting. We had a good talk last night, and today during lunch. We said we both want to fix things, she reached out to a marriage counselor. And she is going to start therapy for herself. Her co-worker said he is going to quit, and they haven't had contact anymore that I'm aware of. But I could just be the world's biggest moron. I've always thought that I would never forgive cheating, that I'd ask for divorce right away. The only thing that is making me consider R is that she came to me and told me the day after it happened. Well, not the only thing. I want to hate her so fucking bad. But I don't. I love her, and I just don't understand why she would do this. I also want to make it work for our daughter, if we can, but ultimately she's my priority, even if that means divorce. What the fuck do I do? Anytime I close my eyes or let my mind wander, I picture them together. I don't know how I'm ever going to heal from this. Am I the world's biggest idiot if I try to save this thing and attempt to? Update. Just told someone for the first time in real life. Hey all. I posted a few days ago and so far it's been nothing but a flood of support from this amazing community of similarly effed up people. You'll all never know how much help you've already been. I'm so sorry you have the experience that is helping me get through this. Day was 3 days ago, on Tuesday. Tonight I finally was able to confide in someone IRL. My sister and my brother-in-law, who are my best friends. It was like a weight off my shoulders and now I can breathe a little if I try really hard. But now I feel like I'm burdening them with this huge secret, one I know they'll keep. They are also friends with my WW, and I asked them to support her too if they can. Because she doesn't have many other people to turn to either. I kinda hate that I still feel the need to look out for her. Does anyone else feel like it's unfair to have to burden someone else with the secret of your WP's affair? I don't think I can do this without some support, but I hate that it will probably come at the expense of my support system's sanity. Update, she's pregnant. Before my wife's affair. And I guess during we had been trying for 1.5 years to have a second kid to the point that she's had to have several uncomfortable and painful procedures, and she's been on fertility medication. Well, now we found out she's pregnant. Here's the timeline. June 19th, the last time we had sex. June 24th, the first and only, according to her, time that her and her AP had sex. According to her, they used a condom and she took Plan B the next morning. June 25th, D-Day July 4th, she has her first positive test. She took several before the 4th and they were all negative, and she's taken several since and they're all positive. Her period tracker app says she would be 3 weeks pregnant, which would make me the father. Pregnancy tests can start showing positive as early as 10 days after conception. And July 4th was exactly 10 days after she and AP had sex. I know the odds are it's mine, but I'm still freaking out. Both she and I are of the mindset that abortion is off the table. So right now we are just in limbo, until she can get an ultrasound and know how far along she is. Even then I'm not going to be convinced until we can do a paternity test at 7 weeks or later. So that's where we're at. A month ago I would have been elated to find out that my wife is pregnant, but my wife even took that from me. Even if it is mine, the pregnancy just complicates everything, which is completely fucked, because my first feelings towards this baby shouldn't be frustration and worry. I started this post wanting advice, and I guess I still do, but now I just feel silly asking for it due to how screwed up a situation this is. What advice can someone even give for this? July 4th she tested positive, not June 4th. Thanks everyone for your kind words and advice. I'm not really in a place right now to respond to everyone. I'm just exhausted with talking, thinking, dealing with all this and I need a break. But I really do appreciate the support I've found in this community. I'll try to respond once I get my head cleared. Third story. She, F30, wants therapy. I don't know if I, M30, can do that. So it happened. Me, 33 and my GF of 30 about to have our 2-year anniversary. Now that may not seem like a lot, we known each other for 3 years. It took me time to take the chance with her and go in a relationship. 2 days ago I found out. There was this guy I warned her before already. Said I wasn't comfortable with him. But he's part of the group she goes to festivals with. Snooped her phone months ago and just told her I didn't like her texting with him that much. But we moved on. Her whole family adores me. All her girlfriends tell how grateful she should be with me. We saw the future together. Every day I could tell and see how much she loves me, stick with me in harder times. Well, 2 days ago, I thought I'd just check if they still chat so much, but it's probably fine. It wasn't. He flirted so much with her, reminiscing about how they first met 1 year ago. A real douchebag, super fit guy with a child. She just went along with how she clicked with him. Then I read they had sex and he talks about it. She says she sometimes thinks about it. Recent messages says she wants to meet up and he says nothing sexual, though I am on detox. She says cuddling is fine, right? He says kissing, cuddling. Anyways, I came to her place that day. After finding out these texts in the morning and night before, she is on the phone with him. I look at her with a face. At some points she hangs up and asks why I always look so angry or jealous when she is on the phone with him or talking. I then ask, how long do you know him? She says a year. I think to myself, duck, she cheated with him this year. I tell her she had sex with him. It's over. She goes through the ground, crying, panic attack, saying something happened. After 20 times she ended up saying it happened at the festival. She wants therapy. She hates herself. She hates how she hurted me. Wants to work it out. I left. She has been blowing up my phone and went to my door that night, but I ignored it all. Yesterday I told her I don't want to talk, and not today too. I tell her it's even more duck up she had sex with him, telling me how jealous I look and stuff. She says she hates it every day. I send her a pic of where they chat about how she wants to hang out again. He flirts in the kissing, cuddling talk. She says it happened recent and she wants to tell me the story, and doesn't know what to do. Not destroying our future, everything we had, everything. Hence she even told people close to her, I am the future father of her kids, and marrying plans. And I really know she did, because everyone ducking loves me and loved us. So I really don't get why it happened. She has been super stressed these past 3-4 weeks due having to do an exam. We had times sometimes where we didn't have sex for a week or two, but we always worked it out. And every day she said how much she loves me. Since the beginning of our relationship I have never doubted that and seen that. I don't know if I can ever forgive her. Clearly she wanted to meet up with him again. And if you are really sorry for your action, she would have already quit with this guy. Not talk to him. Not talk about meeting up. Not be on the phone with him, right? So that's the extra dagger that stings so bad. I don't know when to talk to her. I got her blocked. I am willing to listen to her. And 1% of my body thinks therapy, but I really cannot and probably shouldn't do that due to what I just stated above, that she was still in contact with him. Her family, her friends, everyone will be furious. And I am figuring out how to get through these days. I am a hollow soul. And to make things worse, she says she understands how I feel because she got cheated on once in a relationship. That's just. And I had a previous one before her too where I got cheated on, years ago. Just writing this down. Thanks for reading, and I will go and talk to a friend, clear my mind. I know she is desperate to talk to me, but man, my head is spinning. Update. 1 week after this post. It's been a week. The first 3 days were bad sleeping nights, nightmares. I haven't been eating much. Talked with my best friend a lot and my brothers, GF. Now my parents also know the story. They were shocked and no one saw this coming. I am still shocked and mad that she did it with the guy I warned her for. I knew he was the type not to trust. And, even though I shouldn't blame myself for not being more strict or protecting my boundaries regarding them talking, I just knew it from the start. But I would never thought my ex-girlfriend would do it. I haven't talked to her yet. Since Friday, I blocked her number. I told her to leave me alone as she was at my house again, but I didn't see her. She texted me that she is extremely sorry, and that she wants to tell me the story, as it happened recently, not longer ago. I am posting this because I would like others' opinions on this. I will talk to her mom tomorrow, and I am nervous about it. I love her mom, but I will ask her mom what she knows has been told before I say anything. I will show her how my ex communicated, how she went along with flirting and gave the guy more opportunities, how she wanted to meet up next week, just before I confronted her with the guy, how she was on the phone with him asking me why I look always jealous. Letting her go to techno festivals will never be the same. And even though she posted me a lot on her Instagram stories and so, she never posted a pic of me. That can happen. I only had one. But everyone knew how crazy she was about me and how we saw the future together. But I cannot trust her. Even though I love her so much, Therapy? She needs it. I need therapy for being the victim. I am slowly getting stale, but I feel nervous. Sex will never be the same. They talked about how they did it, she and him said how they liked and think about it. It's just too much for me. No apology letter will help her. I saw she searched on relation therapy, couple retreats, cheating of low self-esteem, help books, and she got sent to a therapist through the doctor. I know she has low self-esteem, but this low. You always have a choice. I know she always compared herself to others and family on how unsuccessful she is, but damn, I just don't understand it. Fourth story. Wife, 29F emotionally cheated on me. 34 am. And I truly don't know how to get past it. So in April I caught my wife having an emotional affair with a man I've never met and not from around our area. She sent nudes and she explained very directly she had no feelings whatsoever. The night I caught her she was very intoxicated. We both were, but I find I handle my alcohol well even when very intoxicated. She was all over me for the first time in a while. Don't get me wrong, we were always all over each other, but this night was different. She drunkenly wrapped herself around me and reassured me that she loves me and only me and would never do anything to compromise us. And then boom, she passed out and I couldn't help myself. My urge to look through her phone overcame me. I almost didn't find anything as I was drunk and wasn't looking in the right spots. I stumbled upon her recently deleted photos on iOS. I know her passcodes, so it was easy to get in. But that's when I found the nudes she sent. I was shocked to say the least, floored. My chest instantly rose from my stomach and came back up. I instantly woke her up and asked her about it. Her, being extremely intoxicated, tried to play it off, saying she has no idea what I was talking about until she realized I had her phone. She started on Instagram, then moved the conversations to Snapchat. Fast forward 3 months, we are making progress. She is showing me she is remorseful and taking the steps to change. But at the same time, I am so damaged that I think everything she's doing is emotionally cheating. Still puts her phone screen facing down, never leaves her phone for a second. In the last 3 months she has left her phone unattended maybe 5 times, but I think she does that just to try and prove she's being faithful to our marriage. I've stopped tracking her location as she activated Find My iPhone app for her location. But only because when I caught her, the affair partner got all crazy and was attempting to contact her and threatened to post her nudes online somewhere. She has since changed her number and made her accounts private and blocked him. Until last week I happened to be scrolling her followers on TikTok and I come across a profile that was suspicious. It was him, the affair partner. She was following him and he was following her. He was liking her posts, and when I confronted her she said it was only to track his profile in case he posted her nudes, so she can screenshot them and charge him. But I don't believe that for a second. I asked why she didn't tell me, and she said she didn't think she had to cause she wasn't doing anything. But I can't shake the feeling that she is not being truthful. On good days, I still feel like I resent her, and I don't know if I can get past it. Sorry if it's confusing or jumbled, I'm just so far gone it's hard to fully entail everything. Update. What should I do? So I made a post on here a few days ago about my wife CA. But now I've come to find she keeps unblocking her AP on TikTok, AMD not saying anything to me about it. I caught them following each other a couple weeks back and I physically blocked him myself on her device. This morning I wake up earlier than usual and she left her phone on the counter open, and so I take a quick look and to my surprise, she has him unblocked again. Thoughts please, as I am at my last straw and don't know what to do. Also, I find myself not angry this time. No emotion is blasting through, it's almost like I don't care what happens now. Fifth story. Please help. Can this be considered mental or emotional cheating? I need advice about how to make sense of her behavior. I'm not looking for advice about what to do. Kindly stick to the question. Been with my girlfriend for 14 months. practically lived together and then literally lived together for 4 months. After the honeymoon phase ended, her attitude towards me changed. She was rude, disrespectful, and constantly expressed her frustration with me. She was fixated on my flaws, told me a couple of times she didn't love me like before, broke our relationship rituals, and became very emotionally detached. During this same time, almost a year, she started talking about other guys regularly. She made lots of inappropriate sexual comments about guys in general and kept going into vivid and graphic details of sexual encounters with other guys before me. Worst of all, she kept talking about two of her exes. At times it felt a lot like she was reliving her memories with them and that she missed them. She also made some comparative statements which felt awful. Throughout the year this went on for, I set boundaries and told her to stop. She never did. I told her what impact this has on me and how it makes me feel. It kept happening again and again despite clear and consistent communication. The dam broke when she called me by her ex's name, a year into our relationship. And when I found out, she broke our relationship agreements about how to handle stuff from previous relationships, and kept and hid stuff from exes, inappropriate pictures from when she was with them, and sentimental gifts and chat history from her relationship with the ex. Now I'm convinced her unhappiness in her relationship made her miss exes and be more open to the idea of guys generally. She insists that she has no feelings for exes, and that she did not miss them during our relationship, but I find this hard to believe. I can't get into her mind, but her actions seem to suggest that something very wrong was going on. Does this count as emotional cheating? I can't tell what's going on, but I have the strongest gut feeling that she wasn't fully loyal to me when she was thinking and talking about other guys and exes in particular. Update. Did she go behind my back? Girlfriend broke boundaries around exes for a year in many different ways. Kept gifts, pictures of date nights, sexual chats. Also repeatedly spoke about sexual things with the exes, even though I told her I find this weird. After repeated and clear communication, the boundary breaking didn't stop and things started to really fuck with my head. I told her that her Insta posts of romantic trips with the ex now really bothered me given everything else that had happened. They did not bother me before the boundary breaking. The ex wasn't in the pictures, but since she had made lots of sexual comments about him, and had even compared me to him on a few occasions, and had specifically made some inappropriate comments about how those trips were the best part of her relationship with him, they started to make me feel sick. I told her they bother me a lot, and she eventually deleted those posts. I went off social media for a few months, and when I returned 2 days ago, I found that she had put those posts back up without at least telling me about it. Is it fair of me to think that she went behind my back? I don't mean was she cheating. I mean she knew this bothers me for very good reasons, and she took them down, but then reposted them when I wasn't around on social media to see for myself. And here she was talking to me every day for months without ever once bothering to even inform me that she's put them back up. It seems extremely disrespectful and shady to me. Sixth story. Talking to him for 4 years out of our 8. Been with my partner for 8 years now. 3 months ago she woke me up late one night after I fell asleep, telling me she really needs to talk it serious. I sit up and listen as she says she's been talking to another guy for a couple years now. She starts telling me it was for attention. She just sent him pictures and videos and told him anything he wanted to hear. At the time I didn't want to look at her phone. I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. My first response was, "Did you sleep with him?" Her response was no at first. The only reason she woke me up and told me because the guy called her after 8 p.m. that night, and apparently this wasn't normal, so she figured it was the man's wife. She couldn't sleep and didn't feel good was the reason behind waking me up and telling me. After that she then told me she had sex with him twice. I don't know if anything else physically happened. I asked her if I was at her house, in our bed. She said yes to both. She slept with him maybe a year ago. I can't confirm. I do love her and I couldn't see myself with anyone else by my side. She was apologetic. It was always going to be me, and it was just for attention. She won't tell me what made her sleep with those 2 times. I feel like it's my fault. I took her for granted and was basically an oblivious idiot to this affair, absolutely clueless. She blocked the guy's number. We told each other we would get counseling of some sort, either individual or as a couple. I gave some effort to find a counselor, but she isn't willing to go yet and isn't showing effort. I know she's extremely shamed. A week after this, I couldn't sleep. Got on her phone and saw her deleted text messages of almost 4,000 messages between the two. I couldn't help myself and recovered the texts so I could see them for myself. I spent 2, maybe 3 hours looking through them, didn't even get close to the end. She calls him daddy and says I love you a lot throughout the texts. She will also call me daddy during sex, so that hurt. Tons of nudes, some videos between them pleasuring themselves while at work in the restroom, and other videos like that, none with each other. But like I said, I wasn't close to getting to the end before she woke up. And I handed her phone, and let her know I saw them and him. I asked her if she loved him. And she said no, it was always been you, it was always going to be you. The texts are extremely sexual. I'm called out a lot during the text, some normal stuff. Almost like she's keeping him updated. For example, she let him know I got a VR for free because I won a raffle. Other text would be like I fell asleep with his soft cock in my hand, or sometimes just telling him I'm about our sex life, complaining to him about me and my lack of caring. It hurt me reading them so much, but I just couldn't stop. She won't tell me where he works or his name. I figured it out, wasn't too hard. He's a local news reporter, worked with her 4 or 5 years ago at a grocery store. I also found his wife. My confidence is gone. I think about this at least every day. Am I good enough? Is it my fault? Am I just an idiot for staying 8 years of my life? And I don't want to see just be a waste. 7th story. Trying to figure out why my wife is lying. This is gonna be long. Sorry. My wife had an inappropriate texting relationship with a co-worker for about a month. I saw the thread on her phone while I was using it for a dinner recipe. Cringy, I know, but it was genuinely 80% accident. 20% I know she's been hiding something, so while I'm here. Anyway, it's very clear that this older, 10-15 years maybe, married man is definitely trying to sleep with her. He asks things like, is she into oral sex? Would you rather give or receive? Where's the craziest place you've had sex? Etc. Very obvious. I can tell by the conversation and rhythm that my wife is just trying to be casual and talk about music and innocent stuff. She answers his questions but right away asks non-sexual, regular co-workers questions to follow up. She's not shutting him down, but she's not really participating proactively. So I give her the phone back with the conversation open so she'd know I saw it. She immediately got very angry that I read her messages. Fine. Honestly, I get that. I know. But I've been suspecting something has been really off for months, so I justified my action. We got into a pretty big fight about it. I asked her to end the texting relationship immediately. She said she did that night. Then a couple days later, while my kids are on her computer, texts start to pop up. I look at them and I see she told him I found their messages and she has to stop. He replied saying he's sorry for any trouble it caused, then suggested they start using WhatsApp so they can keep texting in secret. She responded saying she'll think about it, but has to last really more until she sees how things work out with me. Huge gut punch. Way worse than the original messages. That night I asked her if she ended it and she said yes. I asked if he was fine with it and if there are any issues, and she said he just replied and said okay. Couple pretty big lies there. I really wanted her to tell me the truth. I gave her 100 opportunities to come clean on her own in a safe, non-judgmental way. She dug in and screamed and cried and yelled at me for violating her privacy and accusing her of lying. After 4 hours of her crying on the kitchen floor and screaming at me for not believing her and telling me nothing else was said between them, we went to bed. The next morning I woke up and told her I saw the new messages. She said she just told him she'd think about it to get him off her back. Okay. I know her better than anyone and I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. A few months later and I feel like she's lying to me about this guy again. Not about the same stuff they were texting about, but accusing me of creating fake accounts and harassing his wife and harassing him at work. I know that I didn't do anything at all like that, so this guy clearly got caught sexting with someone else's wife and is suffering the consequences. She keeps making weird things up about her work situation that I know are lies. Nothing really scandalous, but why would she be lying and making stuff up about this guy? I'm not allowed to ask any questions or bring any part of the stuff up with her. She just immediately yells and says I'm accusing her of cheating. I'm really not. I just want to know what is making her lie about such insignificant things. Why would my wife make up insignificant lies about someone she knows I have issues with? If she's not doing anything inappropriate, then why can't I make my feelings known? There's a bit more interesting context here, but I'll let you all chew that over for now. Thanks folks. 8th story. Red flag for cheating? Hi all, me and my wife have been in a rough patch recently. We had an argument over something a month ago and then all seemed good. Then out of the blue, she completely changed. She said we were not okay and she needed a bit of space as this argument was still affecting her. We have a 5-year-old son and this situation happened this week, so looking for advice. I have added a step-by-step of what happens this week. Please tell me I am not crazy. 1. Tuesday. Schedules a sleepover for a Thursday with her mom for our son being good all week, not a Friday or Saturday, but a school night. He has also only slept here twice in his whole life. 2. Starts trying on all clothes and even sexy underwear appears on the bed. These are the days leading up to Thursday and I am currently sleeping in a different room. 3. Thursday comes, blocks and unblocks my number to find my friends off to stop the notification showing that it has been turned off, so now I can't see where she goes. 4. Starts an argument about something that has been known for over a year that has never bothered her before, and uses this to say we're official on a break, and for now we are not husband and wife. Also weirdly states, this isn't a friends break, so no sleeping with people, referring to the show Friends and Ross. 5. Goes to pick son up from school and comes home with a massive energy drink. She stopped drinking these due to causing panic attacks and has recently come off antidepressants. 6. Goes upstairs and spends ages picking out clothes and messing on her phone, constantly behind the door while on phone. 7. Brushes teeth right before leaving, 5 p.m. and is heading to parents for tea and to help settle our son. 8. Takes a key and says I will stay until he is settled and will come home. 9. 10 p.m. comes and I message to see how our son is doing. He's asleep. 10. 1 a.m. Still no sign of wife. Has just appeared on Instagram, so is still awake for some reason. Still not home. 11. Wife stays out all night and returns home wearing different clothes. Nothing to tell me she was staying out or what happened. 12. Goes straight upstairs and removes pants, but then seems to put on large bikini bottoms under her baggy top. 13. Then has a bath, had one the day before too. 14. Wife comes downstairs to go and pick son up from school, seems a lot happier today. 15. Friday, thong spotted on the landing in a pile of washing that was worn that night. Looks like semen or a lot of discharge in them. 16. Next day, wedding ring is removed because we are still on a break. There is surely no way I am going over the top in thinking she's cheating and using the arguments to cheat.